much it means to our players and our fans as well. So we do want to celebrate it. We're going to be doing a lot, Vic. That first weekend, we have a 4-game series with the Rockies here, and we normally like to open up on the road, but I'm glad we're opening at home because it's really a celebration of what these young players just accomplished. And for us to be able to showcase the new banner, for the NL champs out in left field. And then game 2, where we're going to be able to give the rings out to the players and the coaches in a ring ceremony. And we're going to have, T-shirts that weekend as well. And as you said, we have replica rings during the year. So there's plenty of chimes and opportunities for us to still celebrate it. But we really have to focus on 2024 as well, and we're going to do a good job, hopefully, of balancing both.
That's Derek Hall. He was on this morning with Bickley and Murata on Newsmakers Week, kind of balancing, looking back and looking ahead, celebrating last year, but at the same time trying to forget about last year, which is going to be a tricky line for the Diamondbacks to walk, I think, this year.
Yeah, don't they usually start on the road?
Typically.
Yeah.
Typically.
They usually start
not always, but it seems like lately they've been, like the last 2 or 3 years, it feels like they've been starting on the road.
Yeah, so Colorado and then the Yankees come to town.
Right out of the chute.
The Yankees will come to town. Yeah. No, it'll be, and I think even, I heard them joking on that broadcast. There's something going on when the Phillies come to town.
Replica rings.
The replica rings.
They're giving away the replica rings during the Phillies series.
Because we own Philly sports here in Arizona.
We do.
We own your ass.
Yeah, Jonathan Gannon owns you. The Arizona Diamondbacks own you.
Cardinals punked the Eagles. Diamondbacks punked the Phillies.
Play all that sound from the Philly fans after they got bounced by the Diamondbacks just to remind you exactly what that ownership looks like. We do. The Diamondbacks are, there was a story yesterday on The Athletic about the most improved teams in Major League Baseball.
I like this story.
And as you would expect, the Diamondbacks were very high on that list. There was another story on The Athletic today, and the headline is simply, why haven't others gone in like the Arizona Diamondbacks had? And they pointed out that in that same story that named the Diamondbacks as one of the most improved teams in Major League Baseball, within that same story, most of all of these anonymous baseball executives said that there were a whole bunch of teams in Major League Baseball that not only didn't improve themselves at all. And they're kind of asking the question, why did the Diamondbacks spend? Why did the Diamondbacks invest? Why did the Diamondbacks go for it when all of these other teams chose not to go for it?
There's one logical explanation. If the Diamondbacks lost, me and you were at an event this morning, the Batters Up Breakfast out at the Salt River Fields, and we spoke with Mike Hazen, and we spoke with Torey Lovello, and we spoke with Chris Garagiola and
Tom Candiotti.
And Candy. So we did this event there, and one of the things Mike Hazen talked about is like, hey, we almost lost to the Brewers. If we would have lost that first game, if it wasn't for that big hit by Corbin Carroll, we might have lost to the Brewers. Bernsey, if they lose to the Brewers in that series, they don't spend all this money.
No.
So you're asking why? Because you have it. It's like you just hit the lottery. You hit the lottery. Now you're going to go buy, new furniture and a new car. You might get a new. They hit the lottery. They hit the lottery last year. If they lose to the Brewers in the first round,
they don't have the money to spend.
They're not getting Eduardo Rodriguez and Suarez and Jock Peterson. This doesn't happen.
No.
Like, they don't have the highest payroll in the history of the Diamondbacks if they get blanked in the wild card round. So why did they do it? Because they had the money. They had if you remember the cut by Ken Kendrick when he was on with us, we've got this infusion, this unexpected infusion of money, and we're going to spend it.
Yeah.
So why did the Diamondbacks do it and others didn't? Because they had the money. And maybe these other teams, you make Derek Hall and his group every year come up with a budget. Here's what we think we're going to make on the season. Here's how many fans we think. Here's how many hot dogs and beers. And this is what we think our budget's going to be. The Diamondbacks blew their budget out of the water last year because they had 4 playoff rounds. And that added a bunch of money that allowed them to go spend.
Yeah, here's the line I was looking for in the story. I don't disagree with you, by the way, but I think there's another element to this as well that I'm going to bring up here in a minute. Okay. Jason Stark's annual spring training survey. Folks inside the game. So there are 30 teams in Major League Baseball. 21 of the 30 got votes for least improved. Okay? 2/3 of the league got a vote for, it's the least improved team in Major League Baseball.
That many?
That many. 2/3. In other words, it's like inside baseball, they're having a hard time deciding which team did the least to make themselves better. This obviously not part of it.
Did you see the Red Sox players?
Oh, yeah.
Devers?
Oh, Devers is calling out the organization for not doing more to try to field a winner.
He got a contract for $300 million, but they didn't do anything. They added Lucas Giolito, and he's like, we're going to suck again. Just letting everybody know, we're going to suck 2 years in a row. They've had a below 500 record, and they're going to have another below 500 record.
It's almost like, and I don't think they quite mentioned this in the article. This is just kind of me thinking along here. It's almost like a bunch of these other teams around Major League Baseball saw what the Diamondbacks did last year before they spent the money, before they reinvested, and they thought to themselves, hey, look, let's be honest. If we could just win 85, 86 games and get in, who the hell knows what happens after that, right? It's almost like the Diamondbacks showed everybody there's a way where you don't have to be dominant in the regular season. You don't have to be the best team in your division. You just need to get in. Just be good enough to get in, and then you roll the dice and you take your chance. It's filled with risk. To your point, had the Diamondbacks been bounced by the Milwaukee Brewers, none of this is going on right now.
None of it happens.
But I do wonder if other teams, at least some of them, are kind of following that model of, hey, let's not overinvest. Let's invest to be just good enough to see if we're good enough to get in, and then we can maybe go on a run like the Diamondbacks did.
I think there's another angle here that we haven't hit on.
Okay.
You see what the Pirates did today?
No, what they do they?
Very, very small, under the radar. They signed Mitch Keller, one of their bright young pitchers, to a 5-year, $77 million contract.
Okay.
5 years, $77 million. They bought out a bunch of arbitration years. He's 27. He was the number one. He was a high pick for them. Number 2 or something like that. He was supposed to hit free agency in 2025. So now they buy it out. They've also done that for Brian Hayes. They did it for Brian Reynolds. The Braves have been very famous for doing that. The Mariners did it with Rodriguez. The Diamondbacks did it with Corbin Carroll. Me and you discussed the other day whether they should do that with Gabriel Moreno. Maybe a lot of these teams feel like the best way to go about winning is to get a bunch of these young players and lock them up long term.
And keep them long term and pay them long term.
Instead of spending the money on Cody Bellinger and Matt Chapman.
Now, to be fair, half of this market's being held up by those 4 or 5 players who are represented by Scott Boras, and the staring contest continues, right? So that has something to do with this as well. But, yeah, it is. And believe me, it was a very complimentary article. It's like, look, the Diamondbacks, they got in. They had a near miss. They learned from it. They doubled down, and they bought themselves some really good players this offseason. Why aren't other teams doing it? And the whole league seems to be baffled. Like why aren't other teams investing? And maybe it's all of these things, right? It's the Boris guys, and it's they want to sign the young players to the long-term contracts, and maybe teams just get in. Let's see if we're good enough to get in.
Look at the teams that spent. Look at the Mets last year. How much money they spent on that payroll?
It was a waste.
They sucked.
It was a waste. Well, the Dodgers spent a ton of jack last year. What did it matter, right?
Got bounced early, first round, first real round.
How many times did we talk about payroll in every single playoff series the Diamondbacks played? Oh, the Dodgers have this. Yeah. Oh, the Phillies have that. Oh, the Rangers so far
have
behind.
The Rangers were so far ahead of them.
In all of them, yeah. Here's that Kendrick cut you were talking about.
Well, it's a great question. The opportunity that playing all of these games creates is an economic windfall that was not planned. And so it's always been our approach to this ball club over all the years that we reinvest the dollars that we have back into the payroll of our team. And there is a windfall of this last month, and we will use that to invest back in the players on the field, and it will allow us to make some additions to the roster.
It was back on November 2nd.
True to his word, he said he did exactly what he said he was going to do. Kendrick, true to his word, spent that money.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.